Good evening, everybody. Good late evening, everybody. For those of you on the East Coast, it's Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting. We are coming to you with a news alert, some late night news tonight, because there was an update in a story that some of you might have been following today involving Hillary Clinton. And the update is that Hillary Clinton, a story came out in the New York Times today saying that Hillary Clinton chose to shield a top advisor accused of harassment, sexual harassment in 2008. And tonight, after 10 p.m., I believe it was, Hillary Clinton actually posted a response to this accusation in the New York Times. Some of you might question whether how much of a response it actually is. I know I have some questions about that. So what we wanted to do is come on and talk about the story itself first and also update you on what Hillary Clinton's response was. And we also want to take your comments on the air. So if you have any comments on the story while we're on the air, you can give me a shout on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. Before we get into this, let me just make sure you can hear me okay. First, and also sounds like you can hear me okay. That's good. So I want to say real quick thank you to our moderators for being with us tonight. JC is there and Guinevere is there in the chat room late night on YouTube, and Common Sense and Gleno on the website. All right, so let's first talk about the story. Maybe some of you didn't hear the story today or aren't really up to date on what the story is. And then we'll talk about Hillary's response to it. We'll just go through the New York Times story. It's right here. This was the big story about Hillary today. So Hillary Clinton chose to shield a top advisor accused of harassment in 2008. The basic story here is that one of Hillary's advisors on the 2008 campaign was accused by a woman who worked in the campaign of repeatedly sexually harassing her. And Hillary's campaign manager and several senior aides told Hillary, you got to fire this guy. We really think you should fire this guy. She didn't want to fire the guy, and he didn't get fired. And then he ended up working in 2016 for an organization kind of connected to Hillary, run by Hillary's ally, David Brock, and he got fired from that organization. And part of why he was fired is because he was sexually harassing people, allegedly. So a lot to dig into here, but let's go over the New York Times story. That's the very quick version. So let me read you the story from the New York Times, or we'll go through it. So it starts by saying a senior advisor to Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign, who was accused of repeatedly sexually harassing a young subordinate, was kept on the campaign at Mrs. Clinton's request, according to 4 people familiar with what took place. Mrs. Clinton's campaign manager at the time recommended that she fire the advisor. So Hillary's campaign manager recommended she fire this advisor, Bern Strider, but Mrs. Clinton did not. Instead, Mr. Strider was docked several weeks of pay and ordered to undergo counseling, and the young woman was moved to a new job. So she was moved to a new job after accusing him of harassing her repeatedly. He kept his job, but lost several weeks of pay and had to do counseling. Mr. Strider, who's this guy right here, Bern Strider, now he was Hillary Clinton's faith advisor, her faith advisor in the campaign. He was a founder of the American Values Network and sent Hillary scripture readings every morning for months during the campaign. And then, as I was saying before, 5 years after the campaign, he was hired to lead an independent group that supported Mrs. Clinton's 2016 candidacy, Correct the Record, which was created by a close Clinton ally, David Brock. Now, years later, when he was working for this Clinton-related organization, he was fired after several months from that organization for workplace issues, including allegations that he harassed a young female aide, a different female aide, according to 3 people close to Correct the Record's management. Mr. Strider did not respond to multiple requests for comment. And those familiar with the account said, over the years, a number of advisors urged Mrs. Clinton to sever ties with Mr. Strider, and people familiar with what took place did not want to see Mrs. Clinton blamed for the misconduct of men she was close to. The complaint from the young woman was initially brought to Jess O'Connell, who was the national director of operations for the Clinton campaign. Mrs. O'Connell, who is currently the chief executive officer of the DNC, handled the investigation and advised the Clinton campaign manager, Patty Solis Doyle, that Mr. Strider should be fired, according to 3 people familiar with events. So, at the time, Jess O'Connell was the national director of operations for the Clinton campaign. When she found out that this woman was accusing this guy, Bernd Strider, who worked in the campaign, of harassing her repeatedly, Jess O'Connell, the national director of operations for the Clinton campaign in 2008, said he should be fired. And then also, the campaign manager, Patty Solis Doyle, also said he should be fired. Miss O'Connell told colleagues she was concerned that the young woman making the allegations should not be demoted when she was moved from Mr. Strider's supervision. The woman requested to have no more interactions with Mr. Strider, and she was moved to a different job within the campaign, reporting directly to Mike Henry, the deputy campaign manager. The investigation into Mr. Strider's conduct was described as brief, but it included a review of a number of emails he sent the young woman who had shared an office with him. Okay, let me just skip down a little bit more. So we'll get to Mrs. Clinton's response in a second, but I just want to finish the story here. The woman's experience, who accused this guy of harassing her on the campaign, and the reaction to it have not previously been reported. Until now, former Clinton associates were unwilling to discuss the events for publication. But that changed after the start of the Me Too movement, in which dozens of men across the country and across different industries have been fired or suspended for sexual misconduct. Let's see here. Some of Mrs. Clinton's advisors were troubled that he was allowed to remain on the campaign. And let me show you. Here's the specific allegations that this woman made who was working for the Hillary Clinton campaign in 2008. She said Mr. Strider Mr. Strider shared an office with him. She told a campaign official that Mr. Strider had rubbed her shoulders inappropriately, kissed her on the forehead, and sent her a string of suggestive emails, including at least one during the night, according to 3 former campaign officials familiar with what took place. And Mr. Strider was married at the time, and the complaint was taken to Patty Solis Doyle, who was the campaign manager, and she urged Hillary Clinton to fire him. But Mrs. Clinton said she did not want to, and instead he remained on her staff. Oh, and look at this. I didn't even see this before. Mr. Strider never attended the mandated counseling. So as part of this agreement on which he stayed, as part of his punishment, he was supposed to undergo sexual harassment counseling, but he never attended the counseling. I think it said sexual harassment counseling. Didn't it say it up here? It said, where is it? He was ordered to undergo counseling. So he was docked. Part of his punishment, he was docked several weeks of pay in order to undergo counseling. He never actually went to the counseling. I didn't even know that. And let me just see if there's anything else I want to mention about this story before we get to Hillary's response to it. The woman who made the accusation in 2008 has not spoken publicly about it. She, like most campaign staff members, signed a non-disclosure agreement that barred employees from publicly discussing internal dynamics on the campaign. So she signed a non-disclosure agreement which prevented her from talking about how, according to her, she was harassed by this employee of the campaign who was kept on the campaign even after these allegations were made. Okay, so they add something about Harvey Weinstein at the end of this New York Times article. They say, Mrs. Clinton's candidacy has been cited as an inspiration for the Me Too movement, but she has not played a visible role in it. After several Hollywood actresses told the Times and the New Yorker that Harvey Weinstein, a long friend and donor to the Clintons, had harassed or assaulted them, Mrs. Clinton spoke out against his behavior, saying in a statement that she was shocked and appalled by the revelations. Of course, but the thing, it's weird because this New York Times article doesn't mention that Hillary Clinton took a long time to respond to those allegations about Harvey Weinstein, and people were complaining. A number of people who were close to her, people who weren't Republicans, who were Democrats, were complaining that she was taking so long to respond. They didn't mention that here. Weeks later, the actress Lena Dunham, one of Mrs. Clinton's most visible celebrity supporters in her 2016 presidential bid, told the Times that she warned two Clinton campaign aides against associating with Mr. Weinstein. "I just want you to know that Harvey's a rapist and it's going to come out at some point," Miss Dunham said she told the campaign. Nick Merrill, the communications director for Mrs. Clinton, said at the time Mrs. Dunham spoke publicly that Mrs. Dunham was mistaken. I think it's a little confusing what he said here. As to claims about a warning, that's something staff wouldn't forget, he said. So it sounds like maybe he said that she didn't warn them, even though she said she did. Anyways, okay. So let's move on to Hillary Clinton's response. So basically, to sum up the story here, we just went through the details. In the 2008 Hillary Clinton campaign, a woman who was working for the campaign accused this man, Burns Strider, who was the faith advisor to the Clinton campaign in 2008, of sexually harassing her repeatedly, and she brought this to the National Communications Director that she brought it to. Let's see here. I want to get this clear. Yeah, she brought it to the National Director of Operations for the Clinton campaign. So the woman who said she was harassed told the National Director of Operations for the Clinton campaign. The National Director, they did some kind of investigation, and then the National Director of Operations told Hillary Clinton, you should fire this guy. Clinton's campaign manager, Patty Solis Doyle, said, you should fire this guy. She did not fire the guy. She kept him on. His punishment was losing several weeks of pay, and he had to go to counseling, but he never actually attended the counseling. Okay, so that's what the story is, and some people, as you can see from this headline accuses Hillary Clinton of shielding a top advisor. Some people have been critical of Hillary since the story has come out because they have said she should have fired him like her advisors were recommending. And another point about the story, remember, is that he wasn't fired. He went on to work for this organization that was involved with the Clinton campaign in 2016, and that was an organization run by Clinton ally David Brock, and he ended up being fired from that organization for workplace misconduct, including allegations of sexual harassment. So I'm guessing there are people out there who might say, look, if Hillary had fired him, maybe he wouldn't have been and Hillary had also didn't, somebody might say if Hillary had fired him and severed ties with him, then maybe he wouldn't have been hired by Hillary's ally, David Brock, to work on this Hillary campaign-related organization in 2000. In the late that was working from 2000. He was hired in 2013, but it was working on the 2016 campaign. Maybe if she had fired him and severed ties with him, he wouldn't have been hired for this other job, and he wouldn't have gotten a chance to harass that woman at that other job who he was accused of harassing. So somebody might make that argument. So anyways, that's the article. But we haven't gotten to her response yet, which is what this stream is about. But I did want to go over the story, and we had to get into the details a little bit. I tried as fast as I could, but I wanted you to just get the full details out about the story so you can understand her response to it and see her response and conduct. Okay, now we're going to get to Hillary Clinton's response. This story came out earlier today. Tonight, Hillary Clinton responded to this story on her Twitter account, and I want to show you her response now. But first, I want to say a quick thank you, because I believe Lars Anderson made a donation before. Yes, Lars Anderson made a donation. Now, Lars's comment was lock her up. But thank you, Lars, for donating. If you like that we're covering this story, I'm guessing there is not probably that much mainstream media coverage tonight of this story. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been watching all the networks all day. But if you like that we're doing a whole stream on this story and a whole stream on Hillary Clinton's response, I'm guessing tonight, her response came out tonight, so you're not going to see that many stories about her response. If you like that we're doing this, we are viewer supported. We rely on your donations to stay on the air. So if you want to keep seeing news coverage like this, if you want to keep seeing an alternative to the mainstream media, please consider donating. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. There's a little dollar sign there at the bottom of the YouTube chat. Just click on that dollar sign. Or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And thanks again to our moderators who are moderating our chat rooms for this broadcast, staying up late with us. And right after we talk about Hillary's response, I want to hear from you. We want to hear your comments. What do you think about the story? What do you think about Hillary's response that we're going to get to? Write to me on Twitter, at Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. Let me know what you think about this. All right, now we've gone through the story about the claim that she shielded a top advisor accused of harassment. Let's look at her response. She sent out a couple tweets tonight. Here they are. 2 tweets from Hillary Clinton. The first one says, a story appeared today about something that happened in 2008. I was dismayed when it occurred, but was heartened the young woman came forward, was heard, and had her concerns taken seriously and addressed. Then she tweeted, I called her today to tell her how proud I am of her and to make sure she knows what all women should. We deserve to be heard. So those are Hillary's 2 responses. Again, the first one is, I want to read them again. The first one is, a story appeared today about something that happened in 2008. I was dismayed when it occurred, but was heartened the young woman came forward, was heard, and had her concerns taken seriously and addressed. I called her today to tell her how proud I am of her and to make sure she knows what all women should. We deserve to be heard. That was Hillary Clinton's response, those 2 tweets. Now, one thing I want to point out here, personally I want to point out, is these responses don't really address what Hillary Clinton was accused of by the New York Times. The New York Times accuses Hillary Clinton of not firing an advisor accused of harassment that her campaign manager and her national operations director and other aides recommended that she fire. She didn't fire him. And her aides and her campaign manager, her senior aides and a campaign manager said you should fire him, and she didn't. So, but she doesn't respond to that. All she says in her tweet is that a story occurred, I was dismayed about it, but this woman had her concerns taken seriously and addressed. That says nothing to respond to the charge, like the question, why didn't you fire him? There's no information here explaining why she didn't fire him. Maybe she has a good explanation. I have to admit, when I read the New York Times story, I looked at it, and one thing I thought about is like, well, I do feel like, people, especially people who don't like Hillary, are going to jump on the story. But look, maybe there's a reason he wasn't fired. Maybe she could have said something like, she could have been thinking something like, look, this is the first time I've ever heard misconduct from him. He was really upset about it. He apologized. He said, I'll never do it again. And we decided to give him a second chance. Now, she didn't say that. I'm just saying she could have said something. There could have been a reason like that he wasn't fired. Also, maybe, she could have said something like, well, my aides only wanted to fire him. Maybe it could have been the case that the aides wanted to fire him just because they didn't want to get bad publicity. And her thinking was, well, I understand I might get some bad publicity, but I think he deserves a second chance. And, I want to give him at least one more chance. So there's certainly reasons we can think of that she didn't fire him that might not sound that bad. But she doesn't give any reasoning in this response. She literally doesn't address the issue of why he wasn't fired. Doesn't address it. And so to me, it's not really a response to the story, because look at the headline of the story. It says, Hillary Clinton chose to shield a top advisor. She chose to not fire him. That's what the story is. And literally the response doesn't respond to that claim. All it says is, I was dismayed when this happened, but I was heartened that she had her concerns taken seriously and addressed. Well, fine, but why didn't you fire him? I mean, that's the question that the article would want to. That's the people who are, have read that article. That's what they want to know from Hillary. Why didn't you fire him? And maybe she has a good reason. I don't know, but she doesn't even say it. Also, so that's one issue I have with this. Another issue I have is the first thing in her response, literally the first thing she says in this response is, a story appeared today about something that happened in 2008. That's the first thing she says. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, the only work that sentence seems to be doing is attempting to downplay the significance of the story. She seems to be saying, oh, well, now they're bringing up something that happened so long ago, 2008. Like, who really cares about that? I mean, it's 2008. It's 9 years ago. So, I mean, I don't know why else you would say that unless you're trying to minimize the significance of the story. So she supposedly in this response is trying to support women. In the second tweet, she says, we deserve to be heard. But literally the first thing she writes in her response is, a story appeared today about something that happened in 2008. Now, how is that part of her, how does that support women? How does that address the article? It doesn't. All it does is, to me, I don't see any other way of reading that except as an attempt to downplay the significance of the story, because it's like, well, oh, that happened in 2008. So anyways, that I noticed. And another thing is, this I found very odd, was I called her today to tell her how proud I am of her and to make sure she knows what all women should. We deserve to be heard. Now, that struck me as a little odd, because if you're that woman and you had this person, I mean, she accused the person of harassing her, so she believes she was harassed by this person, and a story comes out today saying that that person was never fired, and he didn't actually go to the counseling that he was supposed to go to, so he just lost a few weeks of pay. Is it really a consolation to you that Hillary calls and says, I'm proud of you and women deserve to be heard? And to dramatize this, I actually posted a tweet about this. Some of you who follow me might have seen this. And I basically just said what the call would be like. This, I mean, according to Hillary's tweet, this is basically what the call would have been like. It would have been like, hi, it's Hillary. You may have read that story today about how I didn't fire the guy you said harassed you and who my aide said should be fired. I just wanted to tell you how proud I am of you. Also, women deserve to be heard. Bye. Like that's literally what the conversation is that Hillary Clinton is describing. Now, maybe there was more of the conversation, but it was so odd to me, like that Hillary is saying this, I guess because she thinks it makes her look good that she called this woman today. It just seems like an odd conversation to me to call the woman who accused this person in your campaign of harassing her, and the story comes out that says you didn't fire him, and he went on to work somewhere else for an ally of yours where he was also alleged to have harassed people. And this is supposed to make the woman feel better that you call her and say, I'm proud of you and women deserve to be heard. It's very odd to me. So a lot of this response is just quite odd. It seems like, I feel it's like it's not real. It's really a non-response masquerading as a response, because again, what you want to, if you're upset about this story in the New York Times, if you're upset about this, what you want Hillary to address is, why didn't you fire him? And as I said before, maybe she has a very good reason for not firing him, but we don't know that because she literally didn't give a reason. She literally didn't address the chief allegation here, which is that she didn't fire the guy. So she considers this a response, but it's really not a response to the charge because it doesn't address the charge that was made of her. Anyways, that's my take on it. And again, I'm not ruling out that she could have had a very good reason to fire him. I personally actually think that the response makes her work look worse than the story does. But that's just me. Anyways, all right, enough of my babbling right now. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about all this? Do you think Hillary's response was adequate to the story? Do you not? What do you think? At Lookner on Twitter, give me a shout. Let me know. I'm going to read your comments on the air. But first, I owe a thank you to somebody who donated, two people who donated. Michael Ross made a donation and said, whoop, whoop. Thank you, Michael Ross. And who else donated here? Somebody just donated. Mr. D Ball Money donated and said, please read the replies from her tweet, please. Oh, I'll read a couple of those replies. Yes, I will. Thank you. Good suggestion, Mr. D Ball Money. I'll read some of the replies after I get to your guys' thoughts on this. Maybe I'll read a couple first, then I'll get to your guys' thoughts. So write to me on Twitter with your comments at Lookner. I'm going to read your comments right now at Lookner on Twitter. Also, thank you again to JC and Guinevere for moderating the chat room, and Common Sense and Gleno on the website. Thank you for moderating. And thank you for those donations. You know, we rely on you guys to stay on the air. Your support, we're viewer supported. Your support allows us to do this. If you want to support Right Side Broadcasting, go to the bottom of the YouTube chat. Click on the dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate. rsbn.tv/donate. All right, really quick, if you want to go and read, I'm not going to go through all of the responses to Hillary Clinton's response on Twitter. There are pro-Hillary comments and negative Hillary comments on Twitter under her tweet. This one is negative Hillary. It says, "How can you sleep?" And it says, "Never forget Benghazi." And then under this tweet, somebody named Jason Dodge said, "Bull, you kept him on after calls to have him removed. Just once own up to something." But then other people said, well, I just want to find a supportive one. Like Stephanie Rodham says, "You did everything right. You're their favorite punching bag when they get scared, but we know still with her." So you have pro and anti-Hillary comments there. You can go through, if you want to go to her Twitter, and you can read them all, read all the comments. But I want to read your comments. So let me know. Give me a shout at Twitter, @Lookner. Let me know what you think about all of this. Honorable Eternal Dictator, the First Eight Horses writes, "Heck no, what an awful statement." You're saying the statement that Hillary made. Tammy Joe writes in, "Hillary cares about no one but herself, period." Let's see. Menorcan says, "So Lookner, NYT is not, New York Times is not fake news anymore? I'm confused." Hey, if you watch my broadcast, Menorcan, you know that I frequently will cite New York Times stories. I do think that New York Times is a reliable news source a lot of the time. Where they lose their way a bit is when they start getting into the anti-Trump stories and the, sources say story about Trump's. But generally, for news stories, it is a source that I trust along with other sources. And like all sources, I will always look at sources with a critical eye, so I don't blindly trust any source. But I'm certainly not somebody who's been saying, like, you literally can't read anything from the New York Times and it's all fake news. I haven't been saying that. By the way, I Stand With Trump wanted me to talk real quick about, supposedly there might have been something with Sean Hannity's account on Twitter. Let's see. Sean Hannity's account is down on Twitter. Don't know what the deal is with that, so I'll have to look up that a little later. So I kind of want to tweet about that right now. I'll tweet about it out. Let me tweet. Give me a sec, guys. You know, it's my job to cover news, so here's what I'll do. I make a screen capture of this. It'll be very fast. It'll take 2 seconds. Why not do it? Okay, and then I go to my Twitter, and I say tweet, and I say Sean Hannity's Twitter is down. And I say capture. All right, now it's posted. Wonderful. Thank you, I Stand With Trump, for sending that in. So I'll look into that after the broadcast and see if I find anything about it. But I want to get to some more of your comments on this Hillary story. Chest Harrington says, "Love the YouTube thumbnail for this broadcast." So Chest Harrington really likes that picture. Thanks again, I Stand With Trump, for sending me the news about Sean Hannity's account. Let's get to some more of your comments. JC says, "No, JC, I can't show that picture. We'll get like, JC, if I show the picture you sent me, we'll get like thrown off YouTube." But thank you for writing, JC. And Weeaboo, you sent in a naughty comment. I can't read your comment either. Guys, I'll pretty much read like any comment or any opinion, but it has to be respectful. It cannot be offensive. Steph Stuff says, she's been evil since Arkansas. Hashtag remember in Mina. Ooh, my stomach just did something. Sorry about that. Remember in Mina. I don't know what Mina stands for. Maybe I should. Watch, I'm going to look it up and it's going to be something horrible. And I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said it on the air. I see it stands for Middle East and North Africa. Mike Johnston wants to know, did the lady Hillary called answer the call? Well, from her response, Mike, it's a good question. From her response, it seemed to imply she did answer the call. Oh, well, no, because strictly speaking, it says, I called her today to tell her up. Legalistically, I mean, Hillary is a lawyer, so, maybe technically she didn't answer, because all it says is I called her to tell her. It doesn't say I called her and told her. So it's possible that she actually didn't even talk to the person. Good point, Mike Johnston. Shane Flanagan says, regarding the Hannity account, he says there were some weird tweets from his account before it went down. What's up with the attacks on Fox News people's Twitter accounts the last few weeks? Weird. Thanks, Shane. Oh, and Release the Memo sent me Sean Hannity's last tweet, supposedly, before his account went down. Let me show you that. So according to Mike Tokes says this is the last thing he tweeted. Form submission 1649. So I don't really know what's going on with that account. Oh, and then Mike Tokes also says, I believe this is what he was referencing. Protection of government property, goods in transit. I don't know. That could have been somebody hacking his account. I don't know. So anyways. I'll keep an eye on it once this... Well, I'll keep an eye out once this... once this is... stream is over. Although somebody says now his account's working. Is it working? Let's see. Oh, it's back. No, it's not back. I just looked it up. It's not back. Now, it's possible that if you look on your phone, there's some message there or something, but I'm just getting that. When I go on the web, I just get that. Let's stay on topic, guys. We got to keep our focus here. The focus is on Hillary. Maybe I'll do another stream later about Sean Hannity, but we're keeping the focus on Hillary right now. Hey, Joey Fountain made a donation and said, I'm not a patron. I prefer to donate when you're hot, which is often. Well, that's nice, Joey. Love RSBN. Thank you, Joey. Honorable Eternal Dictator to the First Eight Horses writes in, what's awful about Hillary's response is it's simply a stupid statement. I mean, come on, you called the victim that Hillary Clinton's own staff sexually harassed. I hope the victim calls her out on it. Also, your tweet gave me a laugh. Oh, the one about I showed before about what the call might have sounded like. Irredeemable Cube writes in, when would a narcissist admit that she was ever at fault? Hashtag I'm with don't trust her. Reagan Better says, it's my 39th birthday today. Happy birthday, Reagan Better. Also, is Hillary trying to be crooked again? Hey, everybody say happy birthday to Eric. Happy birthday, Reagan Better. Longtime RSBN viewer. Gab I... TBP USA Patriot 1776 says, Mina AR Googled that with the Clintons. I Googled Mina and I got Middle East and North Africa. Let's try it again. Oh, the Mina cover-up. Okay. I'll have to read about this later. What the Mina cover-up is. I'm not familiar with this. Thank you, though, for writing in and letting me know about that. Honorable Eternal Dictator of the First Eight Horses said he got a black screen. Did we have one, guys? I didn't see a black screen here. I hope we didn't have. Oh, I guess we did get one. So we did. I just saw somebody in the chat room said we got one. So, well, we thought that was over. Well, we didn't think it was over. We thought they were working on it, but hopefully there's not a lot of them, guys. I hope. JC says lock her up. All right. Everybody's now, so many people messaging me about the Sean Hannity thing. When the stream is over, maybe I'll do another stream on the Sean Hannity Twitter account, but we need to keep the streams on topic because then everybody gets confused if they're not. And then later, somebody might watch this stream because they want to know about the Hillary story, and if all they see is Sean Hannity stuff, they're going to be really confused and mad at Right Side. So we'll keep the stream on topic. Jason Thornton writes in, subject line crookery. Jason Thornton says, thanks for staying up late to stream this story, Steve. Next time, please have a warning when Right Side posts Hillary Clinton's pictures. Blech. I'm sure she didn't actually call the woman in question, much less have her number. She can do nothing but lie through her fugly pie hole. Pedos enable pedos. Her creepy husband Bill would be a prime example. Thank God she didn't win, or we would have had to see her hideous face and listen to her cackle for the next 3 or so years. Regards, Jason Thornton. P.S. CNN sucks. So that is from our viewer, Jason Thornton. Jason, thank you for writing. Jason, not a Hillary Clinton fan. Let me see. So some people said they got a black screen before. I didn't see it, but I want to show you. Let me just see if I can see it here, because I can show you what to do about it if I see it. Well, apparently it wasn't that long. If I see a long one, I'll tell you how to complain to YouTube about it. But hopefully I don't. Guy Ingham, I can't show that picture on the air either. People keep sending me pictures like Hillary memes that I can't show on the air. Mike Johnston writes in, why did Hillary respond to this at all? So she does not sound like she is spending any time talking to her lawyers about staying out of prison? Okay, I think I've about gotten to your messages. Let's see here. James Stevens sent me a story from the Daily Mail about Hillary's response. So the Daily Mail UK is covering this. Oh, what does this say? This is interesting. I didn't even see this. It says, Hillary posts bizarre feminist video hours after it emerged she refused to fire top campaign aide acting accused of sexually harassing a subordinate. What? I haven't seen this video. Do they have a link to the video? She posted this? Where did she post it? I want to know where this video is coming from. Was it on her Twitter? Hang on. This is interesting. Let me get to the bottom of this real quick. I also want to just do this real quick. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to Hillary Clinton's Twitter. I don't see a video here from Hillary Clinton posted. I'm a little confused about that story on the Daily Mail because it says she posted this video tonight, but I don't know. I don't see it on her Twitter, so I don't want to start showing a video and not know what it's about or what the deal with it is. And I hadn't heard about it anywhere else, so maybe if somebody knows where that video is from, let me know. All right, I think what we're going to do, I think what we might do is we might wrap up this stream and then do a Sean Hannity Twitter stream because people want to know about the Sean Hannity Twitter. So I think we're going to do that. I think that's the best thing to do. We're going to wrap up this stream now, and then I'm going to get the Sean Hannity Twitter stream set up, and then I'll come on again and talk about Sean Hannity's Twitter being down. So that'll be in a few minutes from now. So to know when we're coming back on the air, subscribe to us at Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube. Click the notifications bell when you subscribe. That way you'll get notified. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can follow us on Facebook, Right Side Broadcasting. Hello to everybody watching on Facebook. We'll do another stream on Facebook as well as YouTube about the Sean Hannity Twitter. We're going to do that shortly. West Virginia Bot just writes to me, do you know Sean Hannity has gone from Twitter? I just posted it on my Twitter 10 minutes ago. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. So I'll be back in a few minutes with the Sean Hannity stream. Thank you to the moderators who've been moderating this chat, JC, Guinevere, and Common Sense and Gleno on the website. Thanks to everybody who donated during this stream. We are viewer supported, so please consider donating to Right Side. Bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Thanks so much to everybody who wrote in for this stream and sent in your comments. William E. Gary writes, well, I'm going to read a couple last comments here. William E. Gary says, more than likely Hillary's tweet was done by a proxy. Odd that she hasn't been seen in front of a camera in 3D for quite some time. David Fuchs talks about us putting up a PayPal Pay Me link for tips or donations on Facebook. That's a good idea. I got to look into how to do that, David. I'll ask Joe, our CEO, about it. It's a good idea, though. Anyways, but people on Facebook could always donate to us by going to rsbn.tv/donate because they have the internet. All right, we're going to wrap this up right now. I'm going to get on the air again with a Sean Hannity stream. So thanks for joining us for this stream. We'll be back in a few minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes with a Sean Hannity stream. I'll get it on as soon as I can. And so join us then. But for now, I'm Steve Lookner. Hope to see you on our stream coming up in a few minutes. But for now, have a good night. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you soon here at Right Side Broadcasting. Oh, and follow me on Twitter, @Lookner on Twitter. Follow me. I'll post about whatever news I hear about tonight, including the Sean Hannity Twitter news. All right. See you in a little bit.